What does it mean to live life to the fullest, train to your potential, and perform at your best?
Leave nothing on the table. That's a non-negotiable, is that I strive to be better every day. Because if I'm not on top of my game, how's anybody else going to follow me down the road?
Keep demanding more of yourself to live up to that potential and to stay hungry.
Training is progress. You know, when I look at the word training, I think of steps, baby steps to get somewhere that you want to be. And that is basically your life journey.
It's a mindset in itself, man. It's like, it's not just about, I know that for you, a lot of that's about the physical, but we're constantly in training, whether it's growing our skill sets, whether it's growing our physical bodies, whether it's growing our relationships, whatever. And all of that's a training ground. And that kind of goes back to the mindset that we just talked about.
You underestimate yourself and you don't even start. But then once you start, you often surpass what you thought you could do.
Perform at your best, mate. That's sort of what life is all about. You know, I want to have the knowledge, I want to have the fitness, the health, the ambition and drive that no matter what comes along, when that next phone call comes, I can just say yes. I don't have to worry. Just go and do it.
Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome to today's episode of the Live, Train, Perform podcast. I'm your host, Sean Kober, and in today's episode, it's going to be something a little bit different. Anyone that's been listening for a while knows that I've been running through some Coach's Corner episodes where I get some of my friends and colleagues on to discuss what they're doing with their clients, the lessons that they've learned, the courses they've gone through, and the tools and techniques that they've used with their clients. Today's episode, we have my man, Damian Gilbert, who is my friend and one of my clients. Anyone that's been at Tiger Muay Thai for a while or has been back numerous times will probably know him. He was an intern for me at Tiger Muay Thai. What was that, probably 18 months ago or so? Maybe a little bit longer?
Yeah, I think about 2 years ago, yeah.
About 2 years ago? Yeah. Fuck, that's flown, man.
I know, man. I know. Great experience.
Though. Yeah. So Damo's one of my mates, one of my clients, and I had a great conversation with him yesterday. Just had a quick catch-up call to discuss where he's at, what's going on, the things that he's dealing with in his life. And as we were having a conversation, it actually reminded me of a conversation that I had with one of my mates. I reached out to one of my mates and was like, hey, or a couple of my mates, and I was like, hey boys, give me some no bullshit feedback and let me know what you guys think about the podcast and what I should be doing. And they're like, you know, the Coach's Corner episodes are awesome, but I'd love to hear some of the success stories from some of your clients and people that you've worked with. And I was like, and as I was talking to you yesterday, Damo, that light bulb went off and I was like, man, this is fucking powerful stuff. I'd love to have you on to share what you were going through and the tools and techniques that we've implemented that you've been able to tweak and adjust to be at your best, man, be able to deal with the adverse situations that you've been through in recent years.
Yeah, for sure. First off, thank you for having me, man. It's been a great development that we've had throughout the years, and great banter. So yeah, you know, like you said, when I was a Tiger and I was interning for you, it was good to see somebody else like-minded, you know, military background and all that. And I was at a point in my life where I thought I had it all figured out, but obviously I didn't. Fast forwarding to now.
What made you come to that realization though?
So it was more of the science and the study behind it, that when we would talk fitness, for example, I thought that was the only way that I could overcome a mental barrier was by working out hard. But we would have conversations where you were like, hey man, maybe you're overtraining. Hey, maybe your body needs rest. Hey, maybe you're not eating right. Hey, maybe you're not hydrated. So I would think, like, nah, I know this shit, you know? And then it was like, wait, this guy's onto something. Because when I was listening and I started implementing the little things, little changes, when I would eat, how I would feel. I would restrict myself from a lot of things because I thought that was unhealthy. And we had this conversation a few months ago. Hey, it's good to have that brownie. It's good to have those. And I started feeling great. So I feel like in a way, even my sleep changed. You know, when you guys implemented the whole Swiss 8 thing, you told me you were an ambassador for them and you started doing work with them. I wanted to see what it was about because in the States, veterans are not treated like that. We don't have, we're such a big community that there's so many groups. And they fail to tend into the sleep pattern, nutrition pattern. It's more of a, how can I medicate this guy, give him some therapy and keep him in the loop. So what you guys had going on was definitely eye-opening. Implemented it myself. As you know, I have nerve damage in my legs, and when I left Tiger was to get this job. And in a way, I always felt like I was missing something. I was missing the lifestyle. I was missing the banter with the boys. Afghanistan is a crazy place. And when I was here, I sat down one day and I realized, you know what? There's something in my life that's not put together. I reached out to you. We started working, and just the notes, the basic notes, when you were asking me how my sleep was, how my pattern is, what am I doing? And am I stretching? So all these little things started adding up. And I was like, hey, they're on, Sean knows his shit. And most people that know me know that I've been a coach, but also, my job is I'm a security specialist. I'm no longer a coach. There's levels to this. And you took it to a point where I was like, okay, this is going to change my day-to-day life. This guy is putting the work to study, not just me, but athletes, people that are overweight, people that are recuperating from surgeries, other veterans, other guys have experienced combat in a way. He's been through combat himself. So let's try this out. And man, I went from 3 hours of sleep to fucking 8, 7. My nutrition changed. Don't restrict myself like I used to. I enjoy that pizza. I enjoy that beer sometimes. But it all comes down to discipline. You could have all the tools in front of you, but if you're not disciplined, that's when the mentoring comes in. That's when the coaching, I think, comes in. If you have somebody that's going to be straightforward to you and tells you, hey, man, you're messing up right here. Try this. You got to put your ego aside and say, you know what? He's right. So
yeah, 100%, bro. That's the accountability thing, man. I had an online client call last night. So for those listening, we're recording this on the 9th of April, Friday. And I had a client call last night, man. And, I said to the girl, we've been working together for a couple of blocks. So I normally do 3-month coaching blocks. And I said to her, do you trust me? And she goes, yes, I do. She says, I wouldn't work with you if I didn't trust you. And I was like, all right, so what I'm going to say to you now is we need to go through a reverse diet. We need to put on muscle. We need to get your metabolism firing. What's going to happen here is blah, blah, blah. Because she was, she's a amateur kickboxer and, she's super lean all the time, man. She's fucking 16% body fat. And I'm like, we need to get your body fat percentage up, man. Like, that's not a healthy place to be, eating 1,200 calories, blah, 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 blah. So, it's that trust, it's that accountability. And I said, I can give you all these tools. I can tell you how to do these things, but I need you to fucking buy in. That's the big thing, man. Now, before I want to dive into everything you just said there, man, because that is all important stuff. And, it's definitely something that I want to share with my audience. But before we do that, let's give my audience a little bit of an introduction to you as well. So we've spoken about 7 minutes already and we haven't talked about who you are, what you're doing. So, yes, you were a coach. You have been a coach for a period of time. Prior to that, you were a soldier in the US Army. And you've dealt with your own demons. You've, suffered from PTSD. You've been seeing a therapist. You were blown up in Iraq and, would cause, a heap of damage to your body and your systems and things like that. Can you talk to me about some of those things, like what happened in Iraq, the aftermath of that, how that affected you, and then kind of your transition into your coaching role, and then, as you said, from there moving back into being a weapon with a weapon back in Afghanistan again?
Yeah, so we moved from South America. I was born and raised in Ecuador. And we moved here when I was about 13, something like that. My dad's from the States. And he was in the service. And I figured at 18 years old, my grades were not all that great. And, you do what any rebellious 18-year-old without a clear path would do. And I joined the military. Short thereafter, man, I found myself in freaking Sadr City, Iraq. And I was like, uh-oh, this is, I had a good childhood, man. I left a really good, comfortable life to expose myself and really see what I'm about. And, fast forwarding to the explosion, we were just sitting in the tank one time doing tank OP. I was a tanker. We were attached to an infantry unit. And we were, I think, a few hours into our guard. We were patrolling this area and we just parked. And when something stops and then you get the spidey, the sixth sense is telling you something's about to go down. And I remember it so vividly because I was listening to Me and Mrs. Jones on one earpiece, and on the other one, I had my radio. And I was staring at my lieutenant's knee, man. And next thing you know, my eyes are shutting, and we just elevate.
Fuck.
And I was sitting down, so the impact was all in my head, and my body just absorbed everything. And I could see
just compacted, man. Your spine would have just like boom, compacted.
So I could see just nothing but dust. Our LT was trying to get his crap together. Our gunner, we were wondering if everybody was okay. There's a hole right here. So the driver and I are staring at each other like, what the fuck? And we start engaging. The other, there was a Bradley next. We start engaging to the people that were, causing harm to us. We get back, and back then, this was in 2008. We needed people.
By the way, you don't have to be so politically correct, mate. I'm not sure how many episodes you've listened to.
Yeah, I have. No,
we fucking started wasting some cunts.
Yeah. I know a lot of fucking Americans are going to listen to this one, so it's going to be like, oh, shit.
They just switched off after I said that.
Yeah. But they, they sent us back. My junk was swelled up, My ball was huge, man. My feet were purple.
Not in a good way.
Not in a good way. No, definitely not blessed. And my knees were purple. Everything was hurting, man. And I'm just worried. I'm 19 years old. I don't have any children. I'm like, man, this is it. So we went right back to work. They gave me a bunch of painkillers. And I think that's when it all started to change for me because we were just taking them, Sometimes I wasn't even in pain and I was just taking them because that shit felt good. And I was away from my family, I was just a kid and it felt good. My buddies were doing it too. So we all were masking what just happened. The fact that we had to shoot at people and the fact that we just got blown the fuck up and the pain. We get back to Germany. We did about 13 months, I think, in Iraq. We get back to Germany, man. I had to have surgery on my stuff, and fuck, man, it was a whole bunch of stitches. Of course, the ones performing the surgery were all women except for one dude. I'm like, oh, it's really cold in here. It's
you're like, can you add another inch?
Like, since we're there already, and we go back to the barracks. I recover, and we started drinking a whole lot. In that deployment, we also lost, a few really good guys, really close to us, and we would just drink it away, and we'll think we'll miss them, and we're remembering them by drinking, by getting drunk, by making fun of what happened and the fact that we're back. It's that sixth sense of humor that, in a way, helps you mask what happened.
Dude, 100%, man.
Yeah.
Like, as any fucking soldier listening to this knows exactly what we're talking about. Some of the conversations that you have on deployment, like, you could not have them around civilian people. Like, they'd just be like, what the fuck is wrong
100%.
with you?
And you know what? Now that my father passed, which we'll get to that in a minute, but I still have that sense of humor when my boys here at work are talking to me. And I'm like, I talk about their dad. I'm like, well, at least you have a dad. And they're like, the fuck? I can't do that with everyone. So yeah, man, I was drinking, popping pills. I got out of the military and I continue to do that, right? Continue to drink, continue to pop pills, continue to
So that became like somewhat of a coping mechanism for you?
Exactly. I would never want to be alone. So all my relationships failed at that time because I would never want to be alone. A lot of it were my, I don't know if it's survival's guilt. A lot of it had to do with insecurities. And I started working out again, started training, and, started, doing a little bit of jiu-jitsu here and there, Muay Thai here and there. I've always been active. I've always been involved in those sports. So it helped mentally. but there was something missing, you know. Became a police officer shortly after. I did that for about 2 years, and my feet would just go purple. I was always in pain. They would take me to the VA. They would check my circulation. They would check my cardiovascular, everything.
That's Veterans Affairs for people that don't know.
Yes, Veterans Affairs. And at one point, they were trying to give me absolutely anything. They gave me Viagra, dude. And they said, this is going to help with the circulation, you know, so your feet are going to be good, da-da-da-da-da. Stopped taking all that, man. I quit. That's when I went to Thailand for the first time. I went to Tiger. Had a few fights for Tiger. That's when I met Joey. And, you know, great people. You know, she was always super welcoming, super nice. They allowed me to stay there. I was there for about, I think, 4 or 5 months. Went back home, spent some time in Australia. I went to Canberra. Whenever I tell people I was in Australia, they get mad at me because they're like, why the fuck would you go to Canberra?
Yeah.
But you guys had the museum there, right? The War Museum was there.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful sight,
sick.
man. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
That's why I went there. My best friend was there, so I went there to visit him, and then he took me there because he knows
Gotcha.
I like this shit. Took a bus to Sydney. Beautiful country, man. You guys are awesome. A lot more nicer than a lot of other people around the world. So I make it back home, became a trainer. I was working at this gym called Phoenix, Fitness and Martial Arts. And I was just coaching. And my problems were still not taken care of, right? Mind you, this has been years. This has almost been 9 years after my deployment. And I would constantly have triggers. I would constantly have things that I would mask. And my sleep was all jacked up. And I would always tell people, oh, it's just the way it is. You know, it's just, I was so fucking wrong. It's like, this can't be my life forever.
Bro, that's a great point that I want to pause on for a moment because, you know, a lot of people do live with pain and they have poor sleep and they have poor nutrition and they just feel, you know, lethargic all the time. They have, you know, these energy spikes and energy crashes and they just learn to live with it. They're just like, oh, that's just how it is. And they've resigned to the fact that they can't do anything about it. But, you know, we'll dive into the tools that you've used to get you to the position that you're at now, and how you utilize them and how you use progressive overload with those tools and tweak them very soon. But yeah, I just wanted to pause there for a second and say that, you know, if people are living in pain and they are living, you know, with like a compromised state of health or quality of life, then there's always fucking something you can do about it.
Yeah, 100%, man. Most people see me, I look able-bodied, you know. I got all my limbs. My pain is from my knees down, constant 24/7. But I feel like a lot of that also was bad because it changed me mentally. It made me more selfish. It made me not aware of who I was becoming. And I was really just a shithead, man. I was an asshole mask disguised as a nice guy. And a lot of it had to do with unresolved trauma. I'll miss my friends. And when I miss my friends, I would drink it all away. And I would blame everybody else but me. Failing in friendships, failing in relationships, it was always their fault. It was never my fault and my fucked up head at the moment. So,
can I ask you a question on that?
Yeah.
So when you were going through, you had your friendship circles, and then, you know, you had obviously your relationships, romantic relationships, etc. Did you find that the same things kept coming up again and again and again, and then you drift away from those people, and then you'd find new people, and then the same things would happen over time? Did that keep happening?
100%.
Yeah, man. The reason I asked, bro, is because one of my first episodes that I did was on accountability, and I spoke about this, and I was like, you know, if the same things keep coming up in your life and you're blaming other people for that, like, have a look at what the common denominator is. It's fucking you.
You're the fucking problem. Exactly. And we don't want to admit that, you know? I think our ego takes over, and our ego just, it's crazy because I know a lot of good friendships that I could have had and a lot of relationships that I could have had, and maybe not. You know, I'm a firm believer that things happen for a reason, which is when we started working together, how it progressed to my father's death. I was ready, you know? So yeah, after that, man, I quit. that job at the gym, and the person that I was dating at the time, her and I said, hey, let's just go to Thailand. So we said, fuck it. We moved. I went back to, I never lost touch with Joey. I was always in touch with her, and she told me, she's like, hey, Sean's working here. He's also a veteran. You guys will get along great. I'll get you two to link up. Obviously, before that, I was in Chiang Mai, Bangkok, just traveling a bit. And then when I met you, we sat down and had that little talk, man. It was great because it was something different. It was like being back in my element, but out in the civilian world, because I wasn't being told what I wanted to hear. I was more told like, hey, bro, your fucking certs, your certs are fucking basic because they're fucking basic. I would start you off as an intern. You will come to classes every Friday, which is a coaching development that you started doing. I got to meet people, I was talking to Joy, Peter, Tommy, Sands, all the coaches, Song, you know what I mean? Everybody there, everybody at Tiger that's still there. And it was good, even Holly came along. And it was good, Leo, so it was, then I started noticing, man, this is their life. These guys are all putting in a lot of money and effort into their career. My career has always been in security. I did this to try to help other people, but also when it comes to the selfishness is to keep my mind off from all the bullshit that I've dealt with so I don't deal with it. So it was a hard pill to swallow, but at the same time, it was a blessing, man, because I started going there. I started going to work. I started shadowing all the trainers. I told you about my feet and stuff. You were like, hey, have you tried this? Hey, have you tried that? Everybody had a little bit of input in what I could do. So I started taking care of my nutrition a lot more. The things that I would eat, the juices that I could drink. Hey, we talked, beet, man. Beets are good for you. You're in your late 20s, your circulation, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, it dilates blood vessels. It's like increases nitric oxide. Yeah.
So all these things that any coach or most coaches out there will not tell their clients, because a lot of personal trainers think they're also nutritionists, which they're not.
Yeah.
I was finding out that there were people a lot more qualified for this, and at the same time, when I said, fucking listen, shut up and listen, it took me to a whole different level. It made me realize I've been, this past few years, I've been a damaged fucking human being. And I'm not going to blame the army. I'm not going to blame my friends that are dead, my friends that committed suicide. I'm not going to blame my failed relationships. But let's start little by little working on me, because everybody that's been around me has left. And it's, at one point, like you said, it's fun. Hey, I'm the fucking problem here. And, being a Tiger also gives you an avenue of approach to a whole bunch of people. I got the chance to meet so many UFC fighters, even work with them. And that's when I started to become a lot more grateful, I started getting paid. I was also getting paid for my disability. My life was comfortable. And my relationship was not. At that time, my relationship was, we had a little age gap, but I was the problem. It was me dealing with that military mindset that when you're gone, Jody steps in. And it was just a bad mindset to have, man, because now that I look back at all this shit, and it took me to say, you know what, I need to work with someone that knows this shit. And I reached out to you when I got here to Afghanistan. Even when I left Thailand, bro, you were so, when I told you, hey, I got this job opportunity, this is what I got to do for it. I stopped doing all the bullshit I was doing. And you and a lot of the other coaches were giving me tips. Hey, this is how you're going to improve your run. Hey, this is how you're going to improve your push-ups. Hey, this is how you're going to improve your sit-ups. Because I needed to do all these things before coming to work, And I got to work, man, and I smoked it. I was like, shit, these motherfuckers know what they're talking about, It's like, all right. I got to Afghanistan, and I got a hold of you, and I told you, hey, bro, I've been following you for so long. I've known you for all these years, and we've had a balanced life and friendship. Even for New Year's Eve, when we were with Tristan, and we went out, and,
Yeah, bro.
had a few drinks. Amazing. I'll never forget that New Year's Eve. It was really good.
Mate, that was, dude, I think about that all the time, man. For those listening, my mate Tristan came over, Tristan Rose of Blind Tiger Yoga. One of my best mates, awesome dude. I've had him on the podcast as well, which I'll link in the show notes. And he talked about suicide, and he's gone through PTSD, and he actually ran the yoga course that I went back to Australia to do last year to teach veterans how to utilize, the methods and the principles of yoga and meditation to deal with PTSD, which is what he did. But he was over here that Christmas, New Year's period for a month, and he guest coached and covered the yoga class at Tiger. And myself, yourself, and him were all veterans, and we had New Year's Eve, and we all went out with a group of people, went to Surf House, which was awesome, man. And I just remember we were getting on it, bro. We had like a good shine to us, and we all went down to the beach, man. And we got one of those, what are they called, the fire lanterns?
Yeah, the lanterns.
And we lit a fire lantern, man. And dude, like, I just remember it was this significant moment, right, that we all shared together that I thought was fucking beautiful, man. Like, we lit a fire lantern. You released yours, Tristan released his, I released mine, and it was like, this is dedicated to the boys that we lost. This is dedicated to the life of, the people that are no longer with us. And it was kind of like it was a crazy moment, man. It was kind of like relief, right? You released that fire lantern and it floated off into the sky, and, we all had tears in our eyes. We all fucking embraced. We gave each other a hug. Yeah. And, I'm getting emotional thinking about it, man. But it was really cool to see the fire lantern, kick off into the sky. And it was like, we're releasing that trauma that we've dealt with in the past. And, and then we went back and celebrated the life of, our mates, our colleagues, our friends, the people that have been taken too soon. And, that was a fucking powerful night for me, man. It's something that always comes up.
Yeah. It was, definitely a fucking beautiful experience, man. And what was crazy about it is that we are 3 different people from 3 different paths of life, man. You all guys served for the Australian Army. I served for the U.S. Army. And it shows that you can have that love for your country, but that bond is the same because we know what we've went through. Most people are anti-war. So are we. We don't fucking like being gone, And when I say about the VA, they just like medicate people. They also have very good outlets for veterans. Like you mentioned earlier, I've been in therapy. I've been with the same therapist for about 10 years, man. And she's been great. I just feel like the yoga aspect with what Tristan's doing, it's different. It helps you relax. It helps you clear your mind. It helps you understand yourself. And if we can implement that in the States, it'll be even better, man. I'm sure there's groups that do it, but we have so many. Then Kate, remember Kate, the yoga coach? Yeah. As well, it was good to be around like-minded people, not in just the military way, but in the way where it was just positive. And then Kat came along too. All these people that we got to work with, I always took a little bit of them. And even Kat now with what she does, Joy, Kate, everybody that's still in this fitness industry and in the mindset, and it's turning to more of a health environment instead of such a, let me look this way, let me feel this way. That's a lot better,
Yeah. It's far less about the training program and nutrition. It's more about, the holistic approach of how do all of these things fit together, and then how can we tweak and adjust them. Yeah, that's awesome, man. We'll come back around to this stuff in a moment. But what I want to talk about is, obviously what happened in Iraq, you getting blown up, the loss of your mates, the transition to Thailand, becoming a police officer, then coming back to Thailand, interning. Now the entire time you're dealing with some of your own demons and you're speaking to a therapist. You just said that you've been speaking to the same therapist for 10 years.
Yeah.
What is some of the stuff that you've, kind of talked about with them, and, what are some of the progressions that you've seen going through therapy?
Yeah. So I had the stigma that therapy was, for weak-minded people. I believe, our line of work tends you to think that you're weak if you seek help, but you're not. That's why guys don't go seek mental health help. That's why guys don't go to the clinic if something hurts, because you're a pussy. But when you put your ego aside, I started talking to her. She made me relive one of the most traumatic days that I had in Iraq, which was seeing my buddy Gonzo. He got blown up in the back of a truck, and we had to put him in a body bag. And from that body back,
you're picking up the pieces, man, and putting it all together in a body bag.
You gotta put this
traumatic,
kid,
man.
19-year-old kid, which was such a good kid, man. Was about to get married when he went home on leave, and you have to put him in a Black Hawk and say goodbye to him. And you start thinking the wrong things, man. You start thinking, you get mad, you get angry, you want to see the guys from Jay Shamati so you can clap the motherfucker. And
dude, but that's a great point that I want to pause on as well, man. It's like, I'll tie in everything you just said. As a soldier, you're overseas to do a job. If you're in a war-torn country and you're fighting a fucking war and you're a foot soldier on the ground, like, one, you need to compartmentalize everything that happens, because if you do show any sign of weakness or, mental health issues that you're like, oh, fuck, I can't deal with this, like, I can't step out outside the wire, then the blokes either side of you go, well, I can't trust that guy. He's a fucking liability. And if I can't rely upon him, then I don't want him next to me in a fucking firefight. So you don't want to let the boys down, man. You don't want to let the team down. So you put that shit aside. You fucking compartmentalize it. You don't deal with those emotions, and you just fucking staunch up and you go, rightio, let's go, boots on. Let's fucking soldier on, man.
Yeah, what they tell you is, hey, you cried, you're done crying, we got to go back to work. So,
yeah,
he's gone. You got to go. We still have another 6 months here. You got to do your job. But you keep that mindset. So when I talked to her, man, the first time that I started describing that, she made me describe absolutely everything, and we were recording it. And then she told me, okay, now play it back and listen to yourself tell that story. And she would tell me, hey, Mr. Gilbert, you're not made out of cables. You're human. It's good to have emotions. And the first time that I did all these things, man, was one of the few times that I've cried as an adult. And it felt fucking good. I had no shame in it. I'm crying in front of a complete stranger. And she probably goes home and tells her husband, yo, you should have seen this motherfucker today. But it was great. It helped me out a lot. The more I talked about it, the more comfortable I felt with. This was not my fault. And instead of living such a shit life and being such a shit person, I'm going to live life the way my buddies would have wanted me to live it. The way my dad would want me to live it. The way all these people that meant something to me and that are gone, I'm going to implement that and do good. Because there's a lot of dudes that just do bad shit, man. But I think most people are good, right? But we're so easy to fall into this cycle of drinking and popping pills and blaming everybody else that then you say, I can't drink because drinking is bad for you. No, dude. It's okay to have a few nights out with the boys and get fucking blitzed. Yeah. As long as you do it with moderation. And that's what you taught me. That's what we would talk. And that's when I reach out to you and say, hey, bro, I've been in therapy and therapy has helped. However, my fitness, my job, I want to be able to show people at work that I'm good, that I'm not only good at what I do, but that I can manage myself as a person, that they can trust me, not just at work, but outside of work. So I had to do a lot of soul searching, man. Change my bad habits. I'm in a good mental state now because of that. Because when we were talking, my sleep pattern changed. My nutrition changed. The way that I looked at my personal growth. My personal growth before was just, let me see my fucking six pack and go to the beach. My personal growth now is, what kind of father will I be when I become a father? What kind of guy am I going to be when I actually do get married? What kind of supervisor am I going to be for my guys when I take over a team again? All of those things come into play now. My mindset's different,
That's awesome, man. Let's dive into that. So, as you know, and you mentioned earlier that I am an ambassador for Swiss 8, and for people that, most people that are listening to the podcast have been listening for a while, so they know what Swiss 8 is about. But for people that haven't listened, Swiss 8 is a proactive mental health program designed by veterans, initially for veterans, but has been pushed out to the wider community, that covers 8 principles of health and wellness, that people can, log into an app, and then start scheduling in these 8 pillars. And the 8 pillars are sleep, nutrition, discipline, time management, fitness/movement,
personal growth,
mindfulness, minimalism, and personal growth. Yeah. So, which one of those stands out for you the most at the moment in your life?
Right now, my personal growth, man, because my dad, as you know, my father just died. He passed away February 15. had I not been in the mindset that I was, had I not been, given the tools that you put in front of me and told me, hey man, try this, hey man, try that. Had I not put my ego aside, I would have been a total wreck, man. He's also a veteran. Him and I had a lot in common. He's a really good dude. And I think the mindset that I had now because of this, because my discipline, my personal growth allowed me to look at his death as a beautiful thing, it's sad, but understanding that one, this is a part of life. Two, I had a really good childhood with him. I had a lot of good memories. As an adult, he loved the job that I have now. He loves that shit. But that wouldn't come just with personal growth. That came because we got my sleep under control. We got my nutrition under control. We got my training under control. All that gathered into me becoming the man that I want to be. And I have heaps of fucking work, man. So it's good that even when we stopped working this last month, I had all this going on. I was a night shift. Then I had to go home on emergency leave. I had to be there for my mom and sisters. You know what I mean? I cried a whole bunch, but I usually try to cry when nobody was around, because when my mom and sisters see me, I want them to see me calm, try to help them out and tell them what works for me. And my mom now implements those things. Remember we were talking and you were like, hey man, maybe just leave your phone and then go on a run, because they notice that shit. And they would ask me, hey, why are you doing that? I was like, well, I was trying to have that distraction so I could just have my coffee without grabbing my phone. And man, my mom is at a different mental state now, man. She took it hard, of course. She lost her partner of like plus 35 years, but fitness is her thing. Nutrition is her thing, because this is how we keep the body going. And not only the body, man, but the way you think. It's so important. And we would talk about that. I was like, hey man, I want to go hard because all the guys here go hard. You're like, nah, bitch, calm down. Sometimes you got to listen to your body. And sometimes when you think you're done and you think you can go on, no, you're done. Even if you think you have more in the tank. So all those little things, man, made my mind a little more, made it stronger and made me more grateful for the people that I could reach out to, in regards to what went down with my father, in regards with what's going on in my personal life. Right now, I'm in a, really good relationship, healthy. I'm grateful. I'm still training, even though I'm in quarantine. And it's good because I will reach out to you. It's like, hey, bro, I'm in quarantine. The fuck? Hey, use the bands. Do this. Use it. Stretch. I'm like, stretch? Who the fuck stretches, bro? And then I will stretch and I go on a run. I'm like, man, this is a lot better,
I'm moving more fluid. I'm moving faster. I'm covering 100%. More ground. And this is much easier.
Yeah. And becoming a minimalist, man, it's, I want a lot of things. But you've seen my room here. I don't need a lot, bro. And it just puts everything in perspective.
That's a big one. Yeah, that's cool, man. That's super cool. What's one of the biggest tools that I've introduced to you that you've had to tweak and adjust? That's made such a massive difference to your life and your mindset.
So, I was looking forward to this question because I would never forget the fucking day that you told me and a whole bunch of people in class, if you can't lift that fucking weight, you have not earned the right to lift it. Put it down, drop weight. I'm like, damn. So training to my potential and my time management. Training to my potential and my time management have been very, very important to me to grasp. But now that I've gotten a little better at it, I understand that if something's a little too heavy or if something's a little too complex for me to try, I either ask you or I either, drop some weight because, I'm only fucking 155 pounds, man. I got no business being out there deadlifting 5 something, 4 something when my job requires me to be mobile, to have endurance, to be agile, to be, to do those things. So understanding when I train to my potential and understanding that attaches to having good time management. And I think when you tell me, hey, write these things down. I'm like, yeah, you know what? He's fucking right. Let me write this shit down. And I could get my tasks knocked down. And, in the military, they would always tell you that. But once I left, like I mentioned before, I thought I knew it all. Hey, man, I'm skinny. I can eat what I want, not gain weight. I know how to run. I know how to do push-ups. I don't need anybody's help. Time heals everything. but time doesn't heal shit if you're not working on it. So yeah, that, man, I think training and my time management have been one of the things that I can say I always share with other people and try to tell them, hey, man, I'm not telling them what to do by any means, but I'm telling them, just be mindful of how you're training, because we have a long shift and sometimes we may not do anything, but sometimes we may. So be mindful of what you're doing to your body. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. Make sure you manage your time well, you know?
Yeah, man, that's a great point and brings up some memories for me of, I think I did a post on this on Instagram maybe a year ago or so, probably longer actually. But yeah, like when I went to Afghanistan 2010, I was training like a bodybuilder and I'd already been training that way for about 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I was hitting these fucking heavy leg sessions and then would need to go out on patrol for, 6, 8, 10 hours, man. And my legs were corked, bro. And I'm carrying, my baseline weight was, I was about 78 kilos then. I sit at about 81-ish at the moment. But I was about 78 kilos. And I was carrying an extra 30 kilos with my body armor, my webbing, my helmet, my rifle, ammunition, etc. And my first aid kit. It's probably 30, 35 kilos baseline on top of my normal weight. Yep. Then if we're doing like longer patrols, I'm going out on like a 3, 4, 5 day task. Then I'm carrying a fucking pack, man, with all of the water, the food, the sleeping gear, specialist equipment, spotting scopes, thermal imagery, night vision, spare batteries, spare communications equipment, blah, 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 blah. You add another fucking 40, 50 kilos on top of that, bro. Sometimes I was carrying like very close to my body weight in fucking extra weight. And if I hit a fucking heavy leg session and then I'm stepping out on patrol like that, man, I'm fucked, bro. Like if the shit hits the fan and I need to perform, then guess what? Now I've done way too much. So that's how I learned, man. I started tweaking my training program. And actually, whilst I was in Afghanistan, I had one of the rugby mafia. It was a high ranking officer that reached out and he was like, hey, the Defence Force World Cup's going on at the end of this year. Over in New Zealand, you've got an opportunity to play for Australia. Get in contact with the coach, get hooked up with the strength and conditioning program. And I started running the strength and conditioning program, man, and like completely changed my style of training and completely changed my performance and my ability to, do my fucking job, man, as a sniper in Afghanistan. And since then, that's essentially what sparked my interest in strength and conditioning. I was like, all right, there's many different ways to train and I need to look at these other options and I need to tweak my training program to fit with my life, and it should be complementing my life, not taking away from it. And if I hit a heavy leg session, I can't fucking walk for 3 days, but I still need to go on a 6-hour foot patrol carrying, an extra 40, 50 kilos, then, well, I'm a fucking idiot. I trained way too much. I did way too much, right? So then that opened my eyes to, right, there's different ways of training and you need to be smart with how you train so that what you're doing in training is carrying over to the battlefield, to the rugby field, to the jiu-jitsu mat, to the ring, to the cage, whatever you want to do, man. Everything should be carrying over, not taking away from your day. It's adding to your day.
100%, man. I think, performing at your best, it's where it's at. That's like, the last point we have on your training regimen, it's live, train, perform. So when you perform, you can't, if you're not training well, if you're not living to your full potential, if you're not doing any of this, they don't add up, man. And then, as Afghanistan, the mountains over here, the weather over here, shit, you take a deep breath and your lungs are just about to collapse. And, but I think, for me personally, it's been looking back at all the things, everything that happened, even my traumas and the bad experiences and all that. I got to meet a lot of really cool people, even just friends or coaches, even people like Taryn when we were out in Tiger, she was also in the around. It was just Woody, which I had seen before my first trip. So it was good that now, man, where I'm at, it's had I not met any of these people, had I not reached out to you to talk to you, veteran to veteran, friend to friend, and then coach to client, I probably would still be blaming somebody else for my bullshit. And I'm now grateful that I got to meet people from literally all over the freaking world. and seeing how positive these people are. All of us have had bad days, man. You know, every single one of us had a bad experience at one point or another. We've all lost someone. You don't need to have PTSD. You don't need to go to war to get PTSD. You can get that shit anywhere, you know? So it's good, man. And now implementing these and working with you, and like I said, putting my ego aside, it's even better because now I can help my guys at work, my family at home, the people that are around me at work. I'm not a bitter, little insecure fuck. I'm just, you know, a happy dude, man, and I'm glad to help when I can. But that's because I seeked for help, you know. So I like it, man. I think it's been an eye-opening experience, especially after my father's death. You know, it's a beautiful thing because I still implement those things. You know, he passed. Hey, man, you still gotta go run. You still gotta do a few pull-ups. You still gotta go hit the gym. You still keep your mind clear. Keep your mind out. Don't let your mind drown in that shit. Because I could have gone back to my old days and just drink it up, get on some fucking bullshit app and just start swiping and just fill that void with unnecessary shit that I didn't need to, you know? And it's just back on this vicious cycle of not being accountable for my actions, which is, again, when I reach out to you, I knew it was going to be cut and dry, man. It's like, hey, you're fucking up here, do this. That's shit I like, you know? Some people may not like that, but if you put your ego aside, man, and you give it a shot, you don't turn into a robot. You know, I'm a very emotional being. I'm still me. I'm just me taking care of me before I take care of anybody else.
And there we have it, part 1 of a 3 to 4 part series with my man Damian Gilbert. This conversation went for about 2.5 hours, so there's plenty of lessons to take away in the subsequent episodes. If you enjoyed this conversation and it can benefit any of your friends and family, please pass it off to them. Any 5-star ratings and reviews are much appreciated. Much love, guys. Peace.